Hello everyone, I'd like to share another journal that I just completed. It's called the Journal's Companion. I made it with a book cover called the Journal's Companion. I did some fussy cutting and some collaging here on the front. The cover measures 6 inches wide, 9.5 inches high, and 1.5 inch spine. There are 6 hand-stitched signatures for a total of 194 pages. And I did the 5-hole pamphlet stitch, which was quite a challenge. The book pages are all originals. There's no digital kits at all. And they're all different with the exception of 2 pages. I have Love Junk journals, nature definitions, and random numbers, which I'll probably have in all of my journals because I love them. And the end papers are from tailor-made journals, but that's the only digitals that I have in here. And a lot of vintage and antique papers dating from 1877, 1912, 1908, 1902. It's different. So there's that end paper that I just love. The first signature, there's some coffee stained paper, different types of ledgers, a vintage English dictionary. This picture I just love. This old girl, she's sitting in her garden with her pets. There's a little dog, looks like a Jack Russell. There's a cat. And I was wondering what was in her hand, and I looked with magnifying glass, and it's just a little bouquet of white flowers. And it's dated 1934. I'm not sure if I'm saying right, Escalon. I Googled it, and there's an Escalon in California. So, love that picture. So that's in here. It's the original. All the elements are original. This is a Time book from Tim Holtz vellum. Here, this is from, I'm trying to, the images are, the fussy cut images are all from the book Nature Diary by Janet Marsh. So here is a center, and I finally got to be able to use this image of that nest because it's quite big. In here I did a pocket with some note paper. And here is a vintage key on a bulb pin from my Etsy shop. This envelope is was gifted to me, and it's vintage. I just love it. Here on the side, I left it open. There's a little folder with, I always keep the index pages from books because I just love the look of it. And here's one of those random numbers from Love Junk journals. And inside here, I have a time card from my Etsy shop that I cut down and just staple a ticket, a vintage ticket. And here is a vintage envelope, and these I love. They're from little clamps from Tim Holtz. I can't have a hard time with this. Anyway, they're little clips from Tim Holtz's new 2020 collection. Here is a vintage envelope for expenses. This is also from Tim Holtz, the bling with a bulb pin from my shop. Some fussy cutting, collaging, and inside here is a vintage spelling tablet. And I'll put it over here. So here's that signature 1, signature 2. This is a French report card book that dated from 1946 from France. Some fussy cutting here. This is from a physics notebook from 1912, from a course. Here is a Tim Holtz folder. I used a vintage envelope. I sewed down the flap. These are tags from his 1920 collection, and also these little elements here. Now this card that he has in his new collection, I happen to have the original dictionary that appears in. So what I did is I scanned the page and I printed it on tracing paper, which is the same as that little card there. And this is a little vintage glassine bag with some of his, again, some of Tim Holt's elements. And here in the back, a collage of, again, his tickets and some tickets from his collection. Here is a vintage ledger sheet dated 1908. Some wax paper. Again, fussy cutting and collage. This envelope is from the United Nations in Geneva. Again, what I did is with the end paper, I made a folder, and here's the Janet Marsh's Nature Diary front page, and inside here fussy cutting and collage, and in here I've included all items that I've fussy cut from that book that can be used throughout the journal. There you go, and a little last one there. This tracing paper. Again, another vintage picture of ladies out in the garden sitting on a swing. That opens up here. So we have signature 3. This is a farm ledger sheet from a vintage botanical book. This is from an architectural graphics book dated 1947. Some newspaper print paper. Here a little bit of a collage at the corner. The middle of the signature is a piano roll, some fussy cutting, some collage, and here I have a vintage check stub from 1917, just some extra journaling paper. And here is a vintage greeting card called Wildflowers with the envelope. Here I made a little notebook, and just with some fussy cutting. That's from Tim Holtz's. I keep the tops of his packaging, and just a variety of note paper. Here a little bit of fussy cutting and collaging. More fussy cutting. Lots of fussy cutting in this journal. And here you have signature 4. Here's a 1947 accounting course ledger from Canada. And in here I have some a diary page. I don't have the year, I don't think. Neither do I have it. I don't have the year for this one. It was ripped off, but where am I trying to see? There, on March 4th, we helped Mr. Nelson kill hogs 6 by noon. And just interesting information. Here's a page from the Encyclopedia Horticulture that I just love. Here was a slim ledger, and what I did is I split the page because it was too long. Here's some of that painter's paper with more fussy cutting, a guest check from my Etsy shop. The center of the signature is a Edith Holden page. Here is a glassine bag from my shop with some fussy cutting. This is all Edith Holden. And here's an inventory card from a business. And here is a vintage invoice from 1911. They were suppliers of blankets and clothing, fabric. It was in, I think it's in Maine. Yeah, Portland, Maine. Here is a vintage receipt dated 1955. Oh, sorry, I touched the signature 5. Another ledger. This is, oh God, did I write it down? It's Echo Printing by Rosemary Morris. And here I put a side pocket with some vintage receipts. And here also from that dictionary that I have, that I showed earlier with the butterflies, I've included a page that I scanned and printed on tracing paper. They're insects, and this top portion here are good insects for your garden, and the bottom portion here is insects which are not beneficial to your garden. More fussy cutting. This is from a Toronto school. It was for the, it's dated 1877. This calligraphy writing is just gorgeous. The middle of this signature, fussy cutting on some, and then this is drawing paper. Here is a vintage receipt from the 1950s for grain, feed, seeds, fertilizer, baby chicks grinding, and the vintage business card that I cut to include in this corner, and there's the other, the balance of it, and there's a little bird on that corner here. I just keep those bits. More fussy cutting. The other side of that calligraphy. A vintage card that I turn into a tuck with a tag. Another tag here. They're vintage. The other side of that Echo dyed, again, a side pocket with an original receipt in triplicate for rice, buckwheat, pea, chestnut, stove, egg. This is new from Tim Holtz' 1920 collection. The other side of that ledger. Signature 6. Here's that 1908, the bottom of that 1908 ledger, which is huge. Botanical page. Guest check from my Etsy shop. This is a vintage French dictionary. This is a wrapper for a pound of butter, which is quite interesting. I found that in an antique shop. At the middle of the signature is a music sheet from 1902, some fussy cutting. Here is again from that book, Canada Geese, with that one odd ball in the middle. And here are the order of description. There's for plant analysis. One, I thought I'd written those down. They're from the 1800s, both of them, from different books. The back. And here's that French dictionary. Did some fussy cutting and collaging there also. That little bird in the corner. the other side of that vintage ledger, and there's the back, and there's the journal. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.